Hi everyone, welcome to this week's SSG pitch session. We've got 3 pitches today, and we're going to be kicking off with McLean.
All right, great. Thanks. Hey everybody, my name is McLean Wilkinson. I'm one of the co-founders of ZeroDB. And ZeroDB is an end-to-end encrypted database that lets you operate on data while that data is encrypted. So who we are, real quickly, there's three founders, Michael, Ali, and McLean. Michael is a software engineer, worked on back-end software tools at LinkedIn, and PhD in physics from Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology. Ali is the former director of product marketing at Marvell Semiconductor and was one of the co-founders of Nexi Systems, which was a hardware security startup that was IP acquired by Juniper Networks in the early 2000s. And then myself, I'm a software engineer as well, have some technology startup background, and then previously was covering TMT companies as an investment banker at Morgan Stanley. So what's the exact problem that we're solving? Well, when you're dealing with sensitive data, particularly when you're storing it in the cloud, you want to encrypt it. The problem is when you encrypt stuff, you break its functionality. You obviously can't search, sort, query data while it's encrypted. And particularly for sensitive verticals like financial services, healthcare, this can be a pretty big issue. So there are some sort of attempts to solve this today. There's a new category called cloud access security brokers. And these are guys who sort of insert themselves between the enterprise and SaaS providers like Salesforce, Office 365, Dropbox, etc. And it's sort of a clunky gateway architecture. They re-implement a lot of the broken functionality that happens on the SaaS side when you encrypt stuff, and they re-implement that on the enterprise side. But despite being sort of a hacky solution, it's even just in the last 2 or 3 years that this space has existed, it's been a very highly funded vertical, and they've already had some pretty good exits so far, including Adalon, which was purchased for $350 million about a month ago. But that's not the only market opportunity for us. Not only can we do a better job without inserting ourselves as this third-party intermediary than the CASBs can, but we also enable sort of this whole new class of end-to-end encrypted applications. And today, really only 1% of data in the cloud is encrypted under user-managed keys, and that's versus 10% of data in the cloud that's encrypted at rest. So this is really a very quickly growing opportunity in market. So how do we solve this? Well, of course, today you can have your data encrypted at rest. This is just simply encrypting your database, or encrypting your hard drive, things like that. You can have it encrypted in motion. So when you're communicating between the client and the server, you use things like TLS. The problem is, up till now, there's not really been a good way to have your data encrypted in use. So when you query your data, you have to send your key, and the database server at that point obviously can see all of your data as well as a potential attacker. And that's what we're solving. Now, really, ZeroDB is the first practical and performant implementation of data encrypted in use. And as you can see on the left, sort of this is how things look today. So when you have your data encrypted at rest, you can't query it, so you have to send your key, and that's an opportunity for something bad to happen. That's the window that ZeroDB closes. So we never send the keys to the server, and you retain full control over your data in the cloud. And we can also share your data with approved third parties like Salesforce or other SaaS applications. Just to give you an idea of how big of a need this is, we incorporated the company back in March. We announced it on Hacker News and hit the front page twice in 1 week. Had close to 500 beta signups from developers who wanted to use the product. And this was really actually before we had much of a functioning product. So we realized how big the need was, and we quickly built a prototype. In the next month, we started pilots with SaaS and application developers, and then kept heads down, working hard, and got sort of a more built-out, robust MVP about a month after that, and started pilots with various enterprises, including several major banks in both the US and the EU, 2 big telcos, probably what I would consider the leading SaaS company in the world, and the largest US managed healthcare provider. We also participated in Kaspersky Labs Security Startup Challenge, and the finals of that was in MIT in Boston last week, and we were named one of the winners there. And this month also we started converting our original pilot SaaS application developer pilots into our first batch of paying customers. And those deals typically start at $1,000 per month for the smaller guys. So who are our customers? Well, there's two tracks. The first is enterprises, and in that space we're focusing primarily on financial services and healthcare. Those are the two guys that have a lot of sensitive data and a lot of regulatory and compliance requirements, and they need to have full control over their data as they move it to the cloud. The second is SaaS and application developers. So these are people who want to build applications that have native support for end-to-end encryption, and basically they're using ZeroDB as a competitive differentiator. For example, we have a health tech startup that's using us, or excuse me, a health tech company, a big enterprise that's using us to build a mobile healthcare application, and they can give very strong security and privacy guarantees to their end users. So in this case, the patient that's using the application is the only one who has access to their data, and it's appropriate they can share it with their doctor, their hospital, their insurance provider, but the service provider, the application developer, they have no way to access that data. Our business model is pretty straightforward. It's just a basic licensing model. Depending on how people are using it, it's based off either the number of clients that have the software installed, or the number of queries, or the storage, or the amount of storage that they need. For application developers and smaller guys, it starts at $1,000 per month, and then of the pilots that we're running with larger enterprises, we are pretty optimistic that we'll be able to flip some of them in the medium to short term, and those would be significantly larger size deals. Next steps for us is keep talking to enterprise customers, get more pilots in the pipeline, start flipping them into paying customers. We're looking for channel partners to reach more of those enterprise customers at scale. Also, if you're an application developer that wants to use ZeroDB, happy to talk to you. We're filling out the last couple spots in our technical advisory board, and we're also going out to raise our first funding round of around $2 million to make our product really sort of enterprise ready. That's it from me. You can check out our website at zerodb.io or email us at hello@zerodb.io. Thanks. And happy to do questions as well if we're doing those now or holding till after.
Cool. Are you going to switch to close the slides now?
What's that? Close the slides. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Cool, man. I think that's awesome. Like, I think you've made like massive progress.
Thanks. Yeah, we've been
pretty
busy. Yeah, obviously, would always want to have made more progress and move even faster, but yeah, we've been keeping pretty busy.
One question I have is if it costs $1,000 a month for developers to get involved or to start using the product, how are you going to develop basically? Or how are you gonna develop a community of developers that are familiar with the platform, or encourage them to get familiar with the platform? Mm-hmm. If there's the upfront cost to get involved. I mean, I can see loads of use cases for myself, but you almost want to prove it first, get comfortable with it. Is it easy? Is the dev team going to be able to interact? Are you considering some form of a far lower, more limited, let's call it get to know the product tier?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say in general our focus is very much shifted towards the larger customers. So I think we're not is focused on building a community right now. I think there's obviously two very distinct paths that you can go. One is sort of B2D, business to developers. But I think given the amount of interest we've seen from enterprises who are sort of not particularly happy with the current CASB situation, I think that's more interesting to us from a business perspective. I think the bigger opportunity there. So I don't know that it's the right product for sort of people that are building a project on the side or for fun. We are working with startups that have some degree of funding. I mean, I think to the extent we are happy to work with people and talk to people, offline. If there's some interesting use case they have, we can certainly discuss.
I'm thinking more on the learning side. I'm thinking more on the learning side, so not necessarily for people to go to production, but if you look at Microsoft or Oracle, they all offer, let's call it an entry-level version of their enterprise database that developers can use during development. So not in production, but they can use it to get to know the product, become familiar with the syntax, the way that it works, deal with quirks, basically test the product before actually going to production. Is that something that you've thought of?
Yeah, I think one thing we might do at some point, or we will do at some point, is just a question of prioritization. Is putting something up on AWS Marketplace and have like an AMI there so that people can sort of one-click install and play around with it, sort of in a sandboxed environment. I think I can't probably give you a good answer in terms of when that will happen. We have a lot of stuff on our plate right now, but at some point we will do that.
Because I just think, obviously, lots of bigger corporates, they'll have the budget to spend up front if they believe in it, but you also need to look at it from a developer perspective. If you're not going to find developers with the skill set, or if the developers aren't familiar with it, they might not necessarily encourage whoever has to make the decision to spend.
Right. Well, so it's actually not
a question for you. So it's been a long time since you and I talked, and all mentally in that, right? Can you guys hear me?
Sorry, you're breaking up.
It's a bit echo.
Well,
bit of an echo there.
Oh, sorry.
I'll mute myself maybe.
We'll hang out there. I'm fucking crazy.
Yeah, Rob, I'm not picking you up too well. Sorry. Is Rob back?
He's logged in again, but I haven't heard any audio yet.
Maybe he'll connect back at some point and I can answer his question later. I don't know if anybody else had questions or if we want to move on to the next person, so I'm not holding everybody up.
Okay. Yeah, that's maybe a good call. Okay, Vishwa, we're going to go with you. Vishwa, your mic is muted.
Are you guys able to hear me here?
There we go, we can hear you.
Okay, guys. My name is Vishwa, and I'm one of the co-founders of Cubico. Guys, I'll just take a second here to share my screen. I don't have a presentation, but I'll just go right into the demo. Guys, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So quite simply put, Cubico is a knowledge network for teams. Basically, it's one platform that is made for teams that are primarily communicating over emails or primarily communicating over IMs like Skype or Slack. So a couple of problems that teams who are communicating over either email or these IMs is that a lot of crucial information is being shared in these emails and these IMs, and they're just lost in the entire thread. If you want to ask questions and if you want to have like a very coherent thread of a coherent conversation thread, there's absolutely no place where teams are able to do that. And what Cubico does is provide them with a platform where they can basically pool the entire team's knowledge into one place, and basically it's the team's brain, as you call it, yeah, and we call it a knowledge network. So Cubico structure is pretty straightforward. We have something called just like Slack. We have channels and we have groups and we have something called conversations. So channels are basically defined by the team owners that these are topic channels basically. So let's say this is a I don't know if you guys follow The Office. It's a fictional team called Thunder Mifflin Paper Company, and what the company can do is they can create sort of these topic channels, okay, and any content related to a particular topic will go into these channels. So, for example, the technology team at Dunder Mifflin can create a channel called Dunder Tech, where the team members can individually they can share questions, they can share code snippets, they can share links. So over here, this is an example. So it's sort of like an internal Quora plus Stack Overflow plus Reddit. So over here, it's like you can see that a couple of team members have shared code snippets and they're looking for feedback. And just like on Stack Overflow, you can give them feedback right here. You can also share links. I'll just take a sec here. So if let's say I run into an article here, and if I want to share this article, if it's relevant to a particular topic, what I'll do is I'll go back to that topic and I'll be able to share my share the link with the entire team. So normally you would do that on Slack. What people do is let's look at our SSG Slack. A lot of people share the links on the Slack, and since the conversation is moving really fast here, all the links are just lost in the thread, and therefore what is happening is the half-life of all the important pieces of information shared inside the conversation is really small. So with Cubico, what you can do is you can have like a place where you're storing all these important pieces of information or knowledge, and it is all searchable. So let's just go ahead and share this link. And if you want to sort of give any feedback on the link, if you just want to have like a threaded conversation, we have a reply feature where you can have threaded conversations, and we also have a vote up feature where you can sort of increase the visibility of important posts that are shared with the team. So these are channels. Let me just for technology folks, if you guys are looking for a platform to share code snippets within your team, and if you want feedback on the code snippets, especially for bigger teams, where this can be really useful. So this is a code snippet. I'm pulling it right from Stack Overflow. We support code snippets in Markdown, and you can say I need feedback, and you can just post this code snippet, and people will be able to see the code snippet on their newsfeed. And whomsoever can, has solutions to your particular question can just leave the solution right here. So these are channels, and the channels are basically public. Anybody can create channels, and you can just join a particular channel. So channels are basically it depends on how the team leaders define. If let's say we are looking for innovation in a particular area, you can just define a channel for that area, and the entire team can work towards sharing information that can support the innovation there. We also have a groups feature. It's a private group, just like on Slack, wherein you can share stuff with a privately with a group of people here, and you can add people, and just like on channels, you can share stuff, everything that you can share on channels. Also, you can also share files from Google Drive. If you guys are using any cloud storage services, you can share files from Google Drive or Dropbox or Box. And again, if it's really easy for people to share documentation or blog posts. So all they need to do is just create the document and just upload it on Google Drive and share it right here. So the visibility of these blog posts is significantly higher here. And at the same time, you can sort of have you can share stuff with individual team members, and this is what we call a conversation. So this is the basic structure of Cubico. The really awesome part about Cubico is that it is what we are trying to do is to integrate with every single communication platform out there. So we are already integrated with email, we are integrated with Slack, and we are integrated with HipChat. And therefore, any team that is using these products that is missing the knowledge module can just simply integrate Cubico with their team. And I'll just take you through how users on Slack can use Cubico and make the entire experience much better. So let's just go to Slack. This is again, we created a fictional Slack for Dunder Mifflin, and Cubico has Slack login, so you can just you don't need to register from scratch. We have a sign in with Slack function, and you can just log in with Slack, and your entire team is the sign up process is extremely easy. It's like a 5-second sign up process, and so we're right here. So if let's say you want to integrate this the Dunder Mifflin technology channel, okay, so if let's say people are sharing links here, you can use the webhooks feature to sort of push questions or posts or just plain status messages right from Cubico into Slack. So we're using incoming webhooks for doing that.
Okay, Vishwa, you're going to need to start wrapping up.
Yeah, I'll do that. So it's pretty straightforward. I think I'll take another minute or two to just explain this integration. So let's say if I want to share a particular link, and if I share the link in this channel, it will be directly pushed into. You can see this. The whole post is pushed into Slack, and you can just go to the reply. You can just click on the reply button here, and it will take you right to Cubico where you can leave your replies. We also have a Slack bot which you can use to directly send messages from Slack into Cubico. So I'll just share the same link on Slack, and it'll be posted on Cubico. So it's a two-way integration, and just a sec. Yep. So basically, what I just did here is I used this command, and I was able to post from Slack right into Cubico into a particular topic, and you'll see it right here. So basically, to wrap things up, I'll just Cubico is here to serve just one function, and that is to manage your team's knowledge base. It is extremely easy, and like I said, we are just trying to integrate with every other communication platform out there that is missing the knowledge module. And at the end of the day, our goal is to make it extremely easy for you to find everything that you need to know at work, and just to sort of foster a spirit of innovation within teams. That's it, guys. So I'll be happy to take any questions.
Okay, so yeah, I think first off, my comment would be that you only spoke about the product.
Right.
You didn't really describe your team. You haven't told us what you're looking for. You've shown us some functionality and compared your product to two other products, but you haven't really gone so far as to say what differentiates your product or why we should choose you.
Okay.
You've slightly touched on on defining your market, but have you spoken to anyone? Have you figured out your financial model?
Right.
Basically, like who's going to use the product and why would they use it? And yeah,
I'll take a minute here to explain the whole business model, because since we are running out of time, I'll just quickly take you through the whole process.
So I think you didn't really present. You did more of a product demonstration than a pitch. So I don't think there's too much extra time for you to go through all of that. There's just feedback to keep in mind for next time you do a pitch. You need to consider who you're pitching to. In this environment, you're not pitching to sell the product. You are pitching to pitch your business to investors. So investors don't need to know about every single feature or how the features work in detail. You need to give a high level overview of the business, what it's about, what problem are you solving, why should anyone back you, and why you're going to make it a success. Why must we give you $10,000, $100,000, $1 million? What do we get in exchange? What share are you looking for to give away or sell? That's the type of info that we're looking for in a pitch.
Oh, okay. I was under the impression that this is going to be a simple product demo and not an investor pitch, and I apologize for that.
Okay.
So you know what? If you're left with a little bit of time towards the end, I'd love to take you through the business model as well. But what I'd like to do is just continue to the third presenter, and if we have some time, I'll take you through the business model. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we're gonna go with Jesse then.
Do you see my my screen?
Yeah, we got your screen.
Okay, great. All right, so my name is Jesse Strauss. I'm going to be talking a little about a project and startup that I'm working on called indiepayment.com. I want to apologize in advance for my lack of graphics on this. It has been a priority. We will be improving the pitch deck at some point and adding graphics. All right, so the first point here is our vision. Indie Payment is a unique product. Nothing similar to it exists on the market at the moment. It is a platform that aggregates debts owed to freelancers and independent workers. The idea is that and I'll take you through the numbers, but each year there's about over $1 billion that is uncollected by freelancers and independent workers and small businesses as well. And it's not collected because those creditors don't have access to a robust debt collection infrastructure. Once you open a platform for that, there's a lot of neat things you can do. One of the things you can do is you can develop a platform for reporting the creditworthiness of certain customers. You can put in dispute resolution modules, and you can then sell debt that is deemed uncollectible or wants to be written off by the freelancer, independent worker, or small business to debt buyers. I've been working on the project now for about 8 months. We have started with freelancers and independent workers business-to-business invoices. The business-to-business part of that is because the regulatory issues in the United States, and I'm sure abroad, although we're focusing on the United States, are much less complicated when dealing with business-to-business invoices. Freelancers and independent workers as opposed to small businesses, because we think that we have a marketing strategy that can reach those users first. Once the product demonstrates viability and we reach scale, we would then open it up to small businesses, which have also a tremendous amount of debt that they're having difficulty collecting. We have a minimum viable product for registering debts. It's up at the website indiepayment.com. We have referral agreements with first-party collectors and law firms, I'll explain what a first-party collector is in a moment. We're currently servicing multiple accounts. We've got a 15% recovery rate. In the last 2 weeks, we've transferred our first tranche of debts to what we call network participants, which are third-party debt collectors and commercial collection attorneys for legal action. And we're negotiating additional agreements with network participants to service our debt. We're filing for provisional patent protection. This is a business process patent in the United States. And we have seed funding for this current phase. Okay, I just wanted to do a testimonial here. This came pretty early when we started collecting, even before we transferred anything to a network participant. You can see here this freelancer told us, I'm new to this. Ironically, I shouldn't be. I've been a freelance writer for 20 years. I buy a course with the money that's never paid to me. And you can see here this was the response that we got from the debtor who paid the $300 that was owed, as long as we took it down from our system, and I'll go through that in a moment. Our market in 2010, and I'm sure I can get updated numbers, and I'm working on it. This was the most complete report I found. We had 54.9 billion was collected by debt collectors, and on that they earned about $10 billion. Again, this is all U.S. The estimates are that the independent workforce is going to grow by 41% between 2013 and 2018. But you can see that there's a huge problem for these particular creditors to collect because they lack the infrastructure. Indie Payment fills that gap by providing that infrastructure. And I can run through how we came up with this number, but we believe, and it's on pretty strong research, that 1.39 million U.S. freelancers have an uncollected invoice each year with a median value of about $2,500. And that's based on very conservative estimates. Okay, so what is the current product offerings out there to collect this debt? The first one is do-it-yourself lawsuits, which I sort of say are the definition of pain. We look for pain points that we try to solve with technology. There's no bigger pain point than trying to bring your own lawsuit. The next thing you can do is you can directly engage a commercial collection attorney or debt collector. This option is taken a lot less than you would think. A lot of the problem is that you can go online, you can look for these people. They're not pre-qualified. They're usually not reviewed. They don't value these accounts very much because they consider it a low-volume account. What they're looking for are large volume accounts, medical practices, certainly banks, utilities, governments. They're not going after and they're not providing optimal service to your typical freelancer, independent worker, and small business because they just don't have the amount that they're looking for to do it on volume. Payment is that volume because we're aggregating those debts. And the third option, which is becoming very popular, is a first-party debt collection and account receivable management services. Every week or every month there appears to be somebody else entering the space. These are our natural partners. These are the people who call on behalf of the freelancer, independent worker, or small business. There was a big player in the area that couldn't make. I guess their business model didn't work. They're no longer doing it. Other ones are cropping up with sort of different approaches. We're really happy to see them out there working. We take the debt that they can't collect. So our product right now is a website where you can go and register the debt. I just have some screenshots of what it looks like for the different 4 components we offer, and we're trying to make it graphically interesting. A lot of what we're doing is sort of user interface right now, making sure that the emails we send on follow-up, really explain what we're doing in a way that folks understand, and make sure that we have sort of constant contact with our users. The principles of the platform is that it's free, empowering, communal, and simple. They register the debts by providing the required information. The user provides what's called an Indie score. The Indie score indicates the creditworthiness of the debtor in their opinion. The actual Indie score for the particular debtor is an average of what every person who has submitted an Indie score for that debtor has told us. We send 3 notifications. We tell the debtor they can increase their Indie score by paying the debt. That's where we have our 15% collection rate at the moment on those notices. We remain in constant contact with our users. After 30 days, we transfer to a network participant for the lawsuit or third-party collections. We have certain analytics that track the performance of our network participants. We obviously source it to the correct law firm or collection agency that's pre-qualified and licensed to operate in that jurisdiction. And because we're a constant source of accounts, or because we will be a constant source of accounts for these third-party collectors, our network participants, we think that they're going to really value the accounts we give them and provide top-quality service. What's really exciting about this is that if the debt remains uncollected after 120 days, we are going to be able to allow the user, if it qualifies, to charge off the debt for value. It means it's going to be placed in a portfolio of other debts and it's going to be sold. And I'll go through the mechanics of that in a moment. We want to introduce escrow and milestone services. That's down the road. Right now, we're not doing disputed debts, but like I said before, we do want to add a dispute resolution module, and that's something that we have our eye on. The sale of the debt. So this is something that you have to understand the way the debt collection industry works. There's various levels of debt. Some of it is deemed more collectible than others. The debt that is not fresh, and it tends to be over 120 days old, is eligible typically for charge-off if somebody wants to sell it. In the market as it exists today, very little of this is small business invoices, and none are unpaid freelancer invoices because the debt is disparate. It's all over the place. Nobody's putting it in the right form that's going to allow a buyer to evaluate its whether it's collectible or not and take the chance on collecting it. Even if it is in the right form, which is typically consumer debt that comes from credit cards or utilities, they're only paying about 4 cents on the dollar for that. So we think that the debt that we're going to market is going to be about 3 cents on the dollar. Not a whole lot. If it demonstrates that it's collectible, it's going to drive the prices up. It's a steep discount, certainly off of the face value, which is a little bit of a problem we're having now with our current user base. We're getting a little pushback on that, but we're working on it. However, what happens is when you do that, you shift the risk of non-payment off of you completely, and you get a little bit of money, and you know that somebody's going to be going after your debtor for that. And it's risk-free to the creditor, to the freelancer, except for what's called putback rights, and that generally, depending on the contract you have with the debt buyer, is only if it turns out that the debtor is dead or perhaps bankrupt. But if it's bankrupt, you probably already put it into a portfolio of debt owed by bankrupt debtors. Our revenues, right now it's free to register debts and provide the Indie score. It's free to search Indie scores. Our revenues come from a flat fee on collection, which is $99. Our revenues are also going to come from, and we're already generating revenue on our flat fees, our commissions once we start selling the debt. For every $1 million of debt, we anticipate initially it's only going to go for 2.5 cents per dollar, which is $25,000. We take a 33% commission, so for every million we sell, we're looking at about an $8,700 commission. We have a marketing and growth strategy. Early adopter engagement is perhaps the most important. This is a very new product. The folks who are registering their debt with us now are the people who are going to even, sort of go out there and talk to others about it. It's going to create a lot of buzz. We're going to get testimonials from them, and we're actually having a lot of success there. We're really happy with that. We're going to be doing some social media, search engine optimization, blogging. The bulk of our users are probably going to come from referral agreements with organizations like the Freelancers Union, shared workspaces, law firms, freelancer job boards, and already a source of users, and one that's going to grow, is the referral agreements with first-party collectors and account receivable management services on the debt that they can't collect. So that's going to come to us, so we hope. This is our team. These are a bunch of guys that I'd love to build anything with, but I'm especially happy to be building Indie Payment with them. Everybody brings something to the table. It's great. And I just wanted to thank everybody. Thanks for the community and the resources. Building a company is lonely, but it's nice to know that we're not alone. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. If anyone wants to hit me offline, my email is Jesse, Jesse, at indiepayment.com, INDEPAYMENT.com, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Cool, thanks, man.
All right, how do I unshare the screen? There we go.
There we go. So one question: do people manually capture the debts into the system?
Yeah, it's right now we are not synced or integrated with like a QuickBooks type thing or whatever other invoicing software you're using. We ask people to re-enter it. There is a chance in the future that once we do some technical development, we will be able to sync with those services, but we're not doing that at the moment.
Okay, so it's on the cards potentially, but not just yet.
Yeah, not just yet. I mean, really, just to reiterate, this is a very new service that really doesn't exist. So we're really trying to find our market fit at the moment. The technical aspects are going to come after that. I don't want to spend a lot of money building something until I know that what functions and features I need. That's why we're so keen on our early user engagement.
Cool. And then you said $99 is that for each successfully collected payment?
Yes.
Okay, so that payment collected of $300, $99 would come off that.
Yes. That's our management fee. Now, that's what I need now based on the projections of volume that I have for my cash flow to work. I'd love to lower that, and we might be able to lower it once we get to scale.
Or just stick to a percentage fee.
Well, I'm not as excited about the percentage fee because I don't particularly want, and this is something my team is thinking through. We don't want the $30 debts there on our service. In part because nobody is gonna, my network participants aren't gonna want to see those either. So our sweet spot is really about that $2,500 range. Right now, I do have some lower value debts registered with me, and we'll use the system on that. But the folks know that it's a lot. That the return they're going to get is probably not huge. So that's something they have to think through when they register the debt.
Okay, like is it really worth it?
Yeah. Remember also there's a principle here. One of the things that's attractive is this Indie score. So people register it for purposes of putting the Indie score up there, too, and if it's collectible, all the better. And I think that tends to be the user motive with some of the smaller debts, not under $100, but some of the $400 or $500 debts we have registered.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, well, I think the concept makes a lot of sense. I think that there's a good market for something like that. I know in my own business, I'm sure I could have used something like that in earlier years. I think it's great. Lots of potential to grow, and I think it's got other potential job creation elements to it as well, because you're not just creating work for your own business, but creating work for the network partners, like the people who are actually doing the collection services or doing the legal work. It's almost like an Uber for collections.
We try not to say that because, but that we've been talking. I mean, the difference between us and Uber is that we are we sort of want to interface with the customer, not our participants, right? So Uber sending cars around, we're not doing that. If all goes well, if everything works smoothly, then nobody's even going to see the driver.
You're providing the service directly.
Yes. Yeah. Well, initially, and then pass it on to our network participants. But we don't want them to sort of think that we are we want them to operate through us as opposed to operating independently, which is what the Uber drivers do. We don't necessarily want our network participants to be turning away rides, which apparently Uber drivers are allowed to do. But again, that's a discussion.
Yeah. You managing the customer experience at the end of the day.
That's it's really me now. We're all the folks you saw there are doing this part-time in an advisory capacity for the most part. I'm interfacing with the customers now.
Cool. Okay. Well, McLean, you need to go now, right?
Yeah, I need to sign off, so I can't stick around for the last one. I apologize.
Okay, cool. All right, and then Vishwa, you want to just give some feedback there?
I'm sorry, could you come again?
So you wanted to give some feedback there? That's because there's no one else pitching after this.
Sure. I think Nathan, I again apologize because I was unaware about the scope of this whole pitch session. Therefore, I think maybe I'll present a more comprehensive business side of the entire application in the next pitch. I'll just to end this whole session, I'll just give you a few stats about our user base. We have currently over 100 companies that are using Cubico, and
Okay.
registered user base of over 12,000. Most of the companies are either they're technology companies or news companies. A lot of startups are currently using Cubico. So I'll just drop a big names. Home Depot is the technology team at Home Depot is one of our clients. We also have Cohesity and an entire department from the University of Sydney and a couple of other universities out of India are currently on Cubico. So we are growing very rapidly. And you spoke about the market. I think I'll just give you a few some information about the market. So we are currently targeting the enterprise content management market, which is sized at about $7 billion and with a cumulative average growth rate of about 15%, and which is where we see a lot of potential. Our USP, like I said, we are an application that has a very singular, laser sharp focus on the knowledge aspect of communication, and that is what we are doing, and that is where we are able to distinguish ourselves from these bloated enterprise applications that sort of don't do justice to the knowledge management aspect of the business, and that is why we are finding widespread adoption within companies that are more knowledge oriented, more innovation oriented. Most of our user base is coming from the United States. About 40% of our users are from the US. We have about 15% of our users coming from the United Kingdom and another 10% coming from India. So these are our major markets that we are actively targeting as of now. So our user acquisition, again, since we have Slack login, most of our teams that are registering on Cubico are coming directly from Slack. And since it's extremely hard to manage knowledge on Slack, they are finding Cubico. Cubico is serving as a sort of a knowledge layer on top of Slack, and they're able to capture valuable information on the Cubico layer, and that is how they're deriving value and ultimately having more coherent conversations and having more productive discussions. So that's about it, Nathan. I think in the next pitch I'll present more about the user growth metrics, more about the pricing model as well. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's cool.
Cool.
All right, everyone. Hope you all have a good day or afternoon or evening, depending which time zone you're in.
Take care.
All right, cheers.
Thank you, Nathan.
Cool, thanks, man. Cheers.